Let's get into part 3 now, and I think for this video I said in the previous part that we'd do the cloak and the sword, but I think I'm going to keep it to the cloak just for this video. I want to spend a little bit more time showcasing what I did to create the cloak, and then hopefully we're just making this video dedicated to the cloak. It'll be better for you to watch as well. So getting started, my base colour that I went for is a very dark red, and to create that I went with like a Mephiston red, and I've added a lot of black to it just to really darken it down. But you could use really any dark red if you wanted to, or just dark colour depending on what kind of colour you want for the fabric. And yes, I'm using the airbrush again just for ease and speed. But the airbrush is really good. It gives a really nice texture to it, where it's nice and smooth, and it gives me a lot more control over the surface area. And so I'm just building the colour up here, and I'm also using the black undercoat as a reference for my shadows, and that's very important when you're getting those nice transitions. And after building up the colour, I've got it to this stage. I think it's looking really good actually, good transitions, so I'm ready to move on, get the brush now and start working on some details. And I've got my size 1 brush here. I use the DaVinci Maestro. It's quite an affordable brush, and it's definitely a brush that I would recommend as a quality tier brush for maybe a beginner or an intermediate painter. But let's talk a little bit about the method that I use. And really this is just about creating a lot of small imperfections over the top of the base coat. And you can see from the way I'm using the brush in the video that it's all totally random. And I'll put on the imperfections onto the cloak with slightly thinned down paint, and once I've done, I've covered a little bit of an area with that, I'll have a more of a glaze type consistency, and I'll glaze over the top just to keep everything nice and smooth. And then it's just about using your imagination, and that's the whole method really. But the good thing about doing something like this, you don't have to be very precise. Like you can just be quite messy. You're trying to create imperfections on the surface area. Now here I'm starting to think about adding in some small highlights, and all I've done is add a little bit of orange in with the red mix. Also, instead of like just opting for standard edge highlight, I've chose to go over the work that I've already done, adding in like another layer of scratches and things like that on top, and have that sort of act as a highlight, act as like another layer on top. So really it's just about adding those small details, and those small details will like build up and build up, and in the end the result that you'll get will be far more impressive. But what I'm going to do here is I'm going to speed the video up a little bit, and maybe talk a little bit about some videos that I could potentially do soon, because ideally I would like to put out more content more regularly. But when we do like things like this kind of project, it takes a while because it's quite an in-depth character model. So I've got a lot of projects that are also ready to go. I've got the lion So he's in the cupboard, gonna paint him from a friend, and I've got a bunch of death guard that I can maybe do sort of the way I paint my death guard. I also want to get around to do things like tabletop ready troop choices, or anything in armies like a guardsman, standard space marine. So just trying to find a balance between doing like really fun projects like this and then scaling it back and doing tutorials that are like a lot more useful for beginners, or well, for anyone I suppose. But yeah, the goal is to get more videos out a little bit more regularly. But we'll see how it goes. We'll see if I can manage to do that. So maybe the next video will be something a little bit smaller, maybe a tabletop ready video. I probably enjoy doing that. But you can leave in the comments if you want. Just say different things you might like to see, different models, what would be useful to you, and then that will give me some ideas as well that I can make some videos on. And then hopefully each video can get a little bit better in terms of quality and production. I'll eventually start buying some stuff. I've got a microphone that I'm gonna maybe get next. And then the goal overall will be to get to 1,000 subscribers. That will be the first like major milestone. So hopefully with more of these videos we can get there, which is why if you can leave a like and subscribe, that's very, very big for me, and a comment helps push that algorithm as well. So yeah, every like, every comment, it's really, really helpful to help us reach that goal. But yeah, let's get back to what I'm doing in the video for now. And I've made my way now almost the whole way across the surface area of the cloak, and it's starting to really take shape and starting to look good. And so I'm coming towards the end now, and just one thing to mention, because I think I did this off camera. I took some of the oil paint from the previous video, and I just added it in to some of the shadow, some of the areas with the shadows at the top of the cloak, and then that just adds the texture and it matches it up with the rest of the model so that it doesn't look like separate. It blends it all in to one model. And then of course here I'm just roughly doing some fur with a mixture of different browns. But that's it. So that's the cloak fully completed. And yes, we'll end the video here. We'll come back and do the sword separately. But thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video. Hope you got something from the video, learned something, and yeah, I will see you in the next video. Cheers.